Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Could you please start by introducing yourself to the jury by your full name?
My name is Roy Vreeland, that's with a V.
And could you spell your last name for the court reporter, please?
Breeland.
So, Mr. Vreeland, are you currently employed?
I retired 3 months ago.
Prior to your retirement 3 months ago, where did you work?
As a deputy chief for Upper Pine River Fire Protection District, which is in Bayfield, Colorado.
How long did you work there?
26 years. 25 years, excuse me.
Can you just briefly walk the jury through your work history?
I started out years ago in the fire service as a volunteer, like many do. And then at Upper Pine, we were all volunteer department, no paid employees. In 2006, we transitioned to a combination department, and that's when I was hired. And I worked my way up through the ranks.
In your work in the fire department, did you also work on search and rescue?
Yes, I joined La Plata County Search and Rescue at the, around 1996, again as a volunteer.
Did you have any prior experience with search and rescue before that?
Yes, I was involved in search and rescue teams since early 70s, different parts of the country.
Are you familiar with the area by Bayacito and Middle Mountain Road?
Very much so.
Why are you familiar there?
That's part of our fire district, and it's a very popular, Middle Mountain's a Fire Service road, and it's a very popular road in the summertime with hikers, hunters, quads, you name it.
Do you do trainings up there for search and rescue?
Yes, we do.
And then also, have you done searches up there for search and rescue?
Numerous searches over my 25 years with search and rescue.
I'd like to, and what types of duties does search and rescue duty entail?
What kind of duties?
Yes.
My duties?
Yes.
Again, so my duties are various. Early on, when I first started with them, I was basically what we call a ground pounder. We'd search for folks lost in the woods. Over the years, I trained in backcountry rescue, winter rescue, high alpine rescue, dog work, various different roles, including incident command.
Is dog work using canines to try to trail and locate people?
Yes.
And then over time, did you become someone who would be put on something like incident command?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You're just in charge, making assignments.
Let me turn your attention back to November 19th of 2012. What were you doing that day?
I was off work that day, down day. I don't remember specifically what I was doing during the day, but we got a page out in the evening of the 19th, and I immediately responded.
Do you recall roughly what time in the evening that was?
It was early evening. I don't remember the exact time of the page.
Was it around the time where it was starting to get dark but still light out?
Yes.
That sound about right?
Correct.
Do you recall roughly what the temperature was on that day?
Yes. The initial page came out of a missing child, and I grabbed my to-go bag and headed out the door, and I remember glancing at the thermometer because that was a concern, especially in mid to late November, and it was in the low 40s.
Why does that concern you at that time of year?
I'm looking at survivability aspects of a 12-year-old person lost in the mountains.
13-year-old, does that sound right? I'll get to that in a second, but you're talking about a child missing,
yes.
Something that you're
the reports of a child missing.
What kind of coat did you have that day? Do you recall?
A down jacket.
So where were you called out to?
County Road 500. I don't remember the specific address.
Does 2343 sound right?
Correct.
Is that an area that you're very familiar with?
Yes.
I'm going to, at this time, show you Mr. Vreeland, the previously admitted exhibit, 22. And then it's going to come up on your screen. Sir, do you recall this area? Do you know this area well?
I know it quite well.
And you referenced County Road 500. Can I approach Your Honor with the pointer?
Yes.
So, Mr. Vreeland, you can feel free to approach the screen.
Mr. Vreeland, if you're talking, though, we're going to make you talk into the microphone next to you. So if you want to pull, yeah, if you want to pull it out, you can hold it.
Okay. So County Road 500 is, begins right here off the apex of County Road 501. And it goes up, get in campground trailhead.
Okay. Is that an area that is pretty high in altitude, higher than town?
Yes.
About 7,800 feet, sound about right?
That's approximately correct, yes.
Does that impact your concerns when someone's missing?
But it's colder temperatures in the mountains at night.
And I'm not sure I asked this question, but you alluded to it. What was specifically the call-out information that you received that night?
It's real basic. It respond to the area, the address, that's 2300 block, County Road 500, for a missing male. I believe they stated the age, 12 or 13.
And they would note it's a juvenile, et cetera?
Yes.
I'm going to move to People's Exhibit 23, which previously admitted as well. So did you in fact respond up here to County Road 500?
I did.
Okay. And can you indicate for the jury where you came to, where that address is on the map?
Mr. Vreeland, if you stand in front, I know they can see, but off to the side, you can move that stand if you need to.
Okay, sorry. So I responded to this area right here.
Okay. And so if you could take a seat, Mr. Vreeland. Thank you for pointing that out. I'd like to, given your familiarity, I'd like to talk with you a little bit about this area in general. What is the terrain like surrounding this road?
It's a very rugged terrain up there. The area to the east of where Mark Redwine residence is basically just a sheer cliff band running up, and then it continues up the trailhead to Vicedo Creek, and it's very rugged terrain.
And are you referencing the cliff band? Is that between County Road 500 and the road to the right, the east?
County Road 500 behind the Redwine residence, which is basically the west, is where the cliff band is.
I see. And then how about to the east of the residence?
To the east,
what's the terrain like?
County Road 500, directly to the east of that is interspersed with residential properties and the Vicedo Creek.
And then when you get past those residential properties and the Vicedo Creek, what does the terrain do then?
And it gradually goes up where the other road is. That's Middle Mountain Road, and that's very, very rugged terrain up there.
Is it wooded?
Very much so.
Are there cliffs in there as well?
Yes.
Is Middle Mountain Road the rightmost road to the east of the Redwine residence on the map? Yes, please, if you could point to it for the jury.
This is Middle Mountain Road. It's the Forest Service, starts down here off the
No, I mean, I can, but other people can't.
Yeah. Yeah, excuse me. So this is Middle Mountain Road, starts down here off the County Road 501, runs all the way up to what we call Tuckerville, the mining area, where there's a gate up there, and that's about 8 miles.
What is that road like, sir?
It's a typical Forest Service road, meaning it's a gravel-based road. Well, it's well maintained, closed in the winter. Holiday weekend. Gravel road, very, very winding.
Thank you. You can take a seat again, sir. So you mentioned the holiday season when it opens. Which holiday is that?
So typically, Labor Day weekend and Memorial weekend is opening and closing for that road. It can vary.
Okay. Does the road sometimes stay open through November, basically?
Not that I'm aware of. It's typically always been closed by then.
Is the road maintained in the wintertime?
No, it's used, it's not maintained, but it's used by snowmobilers, so snowmobilers keep it packed down fairly well.
And the gates locked during that period of time in the winter when the snow's there?
Repeat that? I have a hearing deficit, so.
The gates locked in the wintertime?
Correct.
When it's not maintained?
Correct.
And then is it the Forest Service? Someone from the Forest Service would know the dates of when it opens and closes, basically, for the season?
Yes.
Now, when you're looking at Middle Mountain Road, to the right of it on the picture or to the east of it on the map, is that a big mountain right there?
That's a huge mountain.
What mountain is that?
I'm not sure the actual name of that.
Okay. And then you talked about County Road 500. Is this an area that is busier in the summer than the winter? Is that fair to say?
And most definitely, because of the trailhead at there's a campground at the trailhead up there.
Okay, and that campground, is that at the top of County Road 500?
Correct.
After that dead end, that's the end of the road?
The end of the road, and then the campground, and then a trail.
Okay. So is there a lot of traffic coming through there, or is it pretty desolate come November?
As far as car traffic,
Yeah.
it's quite busy in the summertime.
Is there also a trail at the campsite?
Yes, there is.
Where does that trail go?
That goes back into the wilderness area.
And when you say the wilderness area, directionally, is that north?
Yes, that's north.
Does that trail go up and connect to Middle Mountain to your knowledge, or does it just head kind of north up into that more of a valley?
No, it's a very steep valley up there. So once you're on the Vicito trailhead, it's very difficult to get to the other side. And there's no trails up there, just canyons.
I want to turn your attention back to November 19th of 2012. When you in fact responded to that residence, who else responded to that residence?
Deputy Potoff with the La Plata County Sheriff's Office and myself arrived basically at the same time. We parked beside each other.
Is that typical? Is it typical to have someone from the Sheriff's Office and someone from Search and Rescue both respond in this type of scenario?
Yes.
And since you responded around the same time, is this again going to be those evening hours, not quite dark, but getting there? And then when you responded there, what did you do?
Myself and the officer, we basically both got out of the car at the same time. We had a brief conversation. He said he would take the lead as far as asking questions, and I would look for a scent article.
Okay. And then, did you in fact contact the homeowner?
Yes.
What was the homeowner's name?
Mark Redwine.
Had you ever met him before?
No, sir.
And how quickly did he answer the door for you?
Immediately.
What, if anything, did you notice about his appearance?
I don't know the exact word, but rough, you know.
Can you just explain what you mean by rough?
Disheveled, just rough looking.
Did you previously note that he looked like maybe he had a rough night kind of look to him?
Yeah, that's it.
It's tired and unkempt?
Correct.
Don't lead any further.
Yes, Your Honor. Did you notice anything lying around inside or outside the house that you observed in a search and rescue context that was notable?
Numerous, empty liquor bottles,
What was his
inside and outside.
What was his demeanor like when you contacted him?
Just, laid back, nonchalant.
Was there any emotion?
No, sir.
Did he seem concerned?
I think he can testify as to what his observations were of Mr. Redwine's emotional state, so it's fine.
So let me back up one step too, Mr. Vreeland. You've contacted a lot of families in the search and rescue context.
I'm just to repeat.
Have you contacted a lot of families in the search and rescue context?
Hundreds.
Okay.
Over my career, hundreds.
What kind of demeanor do you typically observe from people in this context?
Typically, more people are showing a lot of emotion when somebody's missing, hysterical to the point that we might have to have a family member help intervene.
Was there anything unusual about Mr. Redwine's demeanor when you contacted him on November 19th of 2012?
Well, like I said, he was just...
Objection, if I may, foundation, having not met Mr. Redwine before that, something this witness can't answer. Is something this witness can't answer.
I believe he can. You can cross-examine to go to weight, but he can testify as to what he observed compared to other people. Go ahead.
What was unusual about Mr. Redwine's demeanor?
There was a lack of emotional response, just like I said, laid back.
Okay. Did you talk to him? Did he seem frantic? Did he seem concerned about his child?
Objection, leading, this has been covered, asked and answered.
You can answer the question.
Just repeat the question, please.
Did he seem frantic and concerned and worried about his child?
I would say he was concerned, but because he was, but he was not frantic at all.
Did you ask him for a kind of a general explanation about Dylan so that you could try to conduct a search?
So, Officer Potoff asked the questions, and just the normal questions: name, age, and a brief description of what he was wearing.
Were you concerned whether he had left anything behind that could help?
So I was looking for a scent article, and as the two of those, as Potoff and Mr. Redwine were speaking, I was standing there, but I was looking around the kitchen and the living room area, looking for something, for a scent article, so I could start my work right away.
Okay.
Time was of the essence.
What did Mr. Redwine say, if anything, about items left behind?
He said there was nothing there.
What did he say about a cell phone, if anything?
I don't recall. I did ask about maybe a cell phone charger, and he said there was nothing there left. There was nothing there that belonged to the boy.
Did you talk to him? Did he mention something about fishing?
He told me that one of his son's favorite things to do was go fishing.
Did he talk about whether there was a fishing pole missing or not?
I believe the fishing pole came up at a later date.
Okay. Had he told you that he thought his son might have gone fishing?
Yes, he did.
And where did he tell you were some areas his son might have gone fishing?
So he said his favorite spot was down by the dam, which is quite a ways away, but he also fished in the stream that was across the street from them.
How far away was the dam?
It's around 9 miles to the south.
Did you ask Mr. Redwine how he would have gotten to the dam?
I did not ask that question.
Was he asked that question in your presence, how he would have gotten to the dam?
I don't believe that was, I don't recall.
Did you ask him about what clothing Dylan Redwine was wearing?
That question was asked. The thing that I remember the most is that he said he did not have a jacket.
Was that concerning to you?
very much so with the temperatures.
Did that make sense given the daytime temperatures in terms of fishing?
Well, for daytime fishing, yeah, everybody's different with their tolerances for temperature, and, you know, with our intense sun up here, it could be quite doable during the daytime.
And then how about this time that you're arriving now? Getting close to dusk, is that about what time it was?
Correct, and getting quite chilly.
Did you have different concerns at that point in time about him not having a coat?
Absolutely.
What were your concerns?
Well, it was supposed to go to freezing or below freezing that night.
So you talked about that you looked around the house for anything that belonged to a child to use for a scent article, and then you talked to the defendant. Did you have a discussion about what types of items or articles you could use for scent trailing?
Yeah, I told him I was looking for anything up to and including, you know, something that most people wouldn't even consider like chapstick. Article of clothing, a hairbrush, a comb, a toothbrush, chapstick. And he said there was nothing in the house that belonged to the child.
How did he have a certain demeanor as you were asking him these questions?
Maybe a little annoyed. Because I'm persistent for a scent article, because like I said, I need to get going and start looking.
Sure. Did you find that unusual that you couldn't get a single scent article, even some of those items that you described?
Yeah, because even if it's something old, you know, I didn't know the history of the family. If something that was there from a year ago would have worked.
Did you finally ask the defendant where Dylan Redwine had slept?
Correct. I asked specifically where he slept that night, and he basically pointed over there, which was pointing to the sofa in the living room.
Okay. And when you looked over at the sofa, what did you see?
Some linens, including a pillow in a pillowcase, and that's when I asked Mark if I could take the pillowcase, and he said yes.
Then how did you do that?
I walked out to my car, grabbed a Ziploc bag, along with a set of nitrile gloves, came back inside, and took the pillowcase off the pillow and placed it in the Ziploc bag.
Okay. And when you collected that item, what did you intend to do with it?
I use that as a scent article for a dog.
Generally speaking, if someone sleeps on a pillowcase, does that make a good scent article for a dog?
Excellent article.
And you had a dog that you were going to try to search with that night to trail for Dylan's scent?
Correct.
So after you collected that item the way that you described, you said you used gloves in a bag, things like that. Then what did you do with that scent item?
So I basically told the officer that I was going to start my search, and he was good with that. So I went outside. My dog was in the car. I got my dog, put her on lead, and then did what we call put her on scent. I opened the bag up and she'll actually go over and just take a big inhalation and catch the scent.
This is probably a good place to stop. I would read this somewhat extensively, I would think, with this witness, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember my admonitions. You're not to talk to anybody about the case. Don't let anybody talk to you about the case. Don't gather any information on your own. Don't do any reading or any searching on the internet. And we'll take an hour and 15 minutes. It's just almost noon now, so we will start up again at 1:15. So, everybody rise for the jury?